Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your sister Rabia from Makini Masjid Sisters Committee, and I welcome you all to our weekly Prophet stories. Inshallah, today I'm going to cover the story of Prophet Lut alayhi salam, along with an important take-home lesson you would want to keep track of for our next Prophet Stories quiz contest, which will be on November 29th. And you could win one of the 3 Amazon gift card prizes, inshallah. And the children who can participate in this quiz contest must be in the age group between 4 and 12, and they must reside in Collin County or Denton County. And the link to this quiz contest will be posted on Makini Masjid social media on next Sunday, inshallah. And before we start the story for today, I would want to thank our sponsors for the gift card. Once Upon a Child in Makini and EXP Realty Agency in Collin County and SRS Web Solutions. May Allah accept from them and bless their businesses. And I would also want to request all our viewers to please go and support the businesses. Okay, let's begin our story for today, inshallah. So Prophet Lut alayhi salam was the nephew of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. And he, along with his wife and daughters, lived by the Dead Sea in a city called Sodom. And the people of this city did not have good morals. They were known for doing so many evil things like robbing and killing people and having impermissible physical relationships that Allah disliked and forbade. But because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful, He wanted to give a chance to the people of Sodom to become good and to follow the right path. So He sent Prophet Lut alayhi salam as His messenger. And for many, many years, Prophet Lut alayhi salam taught the people of Sodom to obey and follow Allah's command before it is too late and the punishment of Allah falls on them. But these people of Sodom were so deeply engaged in their wrongful, unnatural, and indecent habits that they chose to completely ignore his message and they never followed his teachings. And instead of taking his sincere advice, you know what they did? They threatened to drive him out of the city if he continued to preach about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would torture him and they very openly and boldly challenged him to bring Allah's punishment upon them if there was any truth to his message. But regardless of all the abuse on Prophet Lut alayhi salam, he did not give up in sharing the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He continued to educate the people of Sodom about the importance of having good morals and to follow the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So many years had gone by and none but only a very few family members of Prophet Lut alayhi salam accepted the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But sadly, his wife turned away from his message. And this did not stop Prophet Lut alayhi salam from having faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he continued praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. So one day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent 3 angels to the city in the form of very handsome men. And when they arrived, they found Prophet Lut alayhi salam's daughter at the river bank. And they asked her if there's a place for them to rest. So she quickly runs to her father to tell him about these 3 very handsome men waiting for him at the entrance of the city. Prophet Lut alayhi salam asked these 3 men where they came from, but they remained silent. And of course, Prophet Lut alayhi salam brought these 3 men to his home, but secretly, because he was deeply worried about what the evil people of the city might do to these 3 men if they saw them staying at his home. And then the Prophet Lut alayhi salam's wife very quietly sneaked out of her home to disclose about these secret guests to the people of that city. And they all showed up at Prophet Lut alayhi salam's doorstep with the intentions of harming and taking advantage of these men. And they all forcibly knocked down the door and entered his home. And Prophet Lut alayhi salam tried his best to turn the crowd away, but it was not happening. It was not working. So suddenly, all of a sudden, these 3 men, they say to Prophet Lut alayhi salam, don't worry, we are angels and we are sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when the people there heard the men say this, they all ran away from there. And then the angels told Prophet Lut alayhi salam to leave the city before the sunrise and take his family with him, but leave his wife behind because she was as evil as the rest of the people of the city. The time had come when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to punish the evil people of the city and destroy them with an earthquake and a storm of rocks. The city of Sodom and its evil people were destroyed. There was not a trace of them left. And Prophet Lut alayhi salam was already on his way to see Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he continued to invite people and share the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what lesson can we learn from this story? That we should never follow what others do blindly. We should stay far, far away from doing things that displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should never follow what others do because they might be wrong and we don't want to be punished with them as well. Sometimes people do certain things which seem okay to them, but we should not follow and do things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes. And instead, we must learn our deen and follow the right path that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which brings us closer to Him, which protects us from His punishment, and which eventually leads us to Jannah, inshallah. And that wraps up our story for today. Thank you to all our viewers for joining us today. And please tune in again on next Sunday at 4 p.m. And don't miss out on our quiz contest, which will start at 4:30 p.m. next Sunday as well. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.